Good afternoon, guys. I know you guys are getting ready for your AP exam. I just wanted to hop on here, just kind of help you guys out, answer some questions. I think for the BC students, you guys have been through this. Um, you guys know what to expect, but the AB students, they get a little scared, a little freaked out. But hopefully, I'll be able to answer some questions for you guys and kind of encourage you guys. So I'll go ahead and see who comes on, and we'll go from there. If you're watching this, probably the recording, a lot of students ask me, what to study, what to focus on. There's a lot of multiple choice questions, and I don't think that's the issue. The issue becomes the free response. And so what I did is I had a buddy of mine just, we sat down and we kind of charted the patterns that we saw. And so from there, we started to kind of look at what they asked for, what they're doing. So from there, we would just kind of fine tune what we were teaching the students. So that way, when the students saw graph analysis, when you see a graph analysis question, okay, they're gonna ask you maybe where's the point of inflection. They're gonna ask you concavity. They're probably gonna ask you the position of a point, things like that. So you want to focus on the FRQs. Everybody hates the FRQs. Everybody's scared about them. If you've been watching the other videos, let me see here. I don't know. It's hard to tell what's going to be on the test. I mean, if you looked at the chart that I put up, rate accumulation, table question, I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 years in a row, they've had a rate accumulation question. Last 2 years, the question number 1 has been a table question, and they didn't have a rate accumulation. So I don't know. And going back all the way to 2010, they've only done a table question and then they do a rate accumulation. They do a table question and rate accumulation. So I don't know. Make sure rate accumulation, that's one of those that you know for sure that you know how to do a rate accumulation. Remember, think about it as something's coming in. Maybe you're filling up gas, right? And then all of a sudden there's a puncture hole at the bottom and it's what's leaking. So something's going in, something's coming out. They're probably going to ask you for the amount, okay? And that's just your fundamental theorem of calculus. Table question. As soon as you see a table question, right away, they're going to ask you for the instantaneous rate. They're going to ask you for some type of Riemann sum. They're either going to ask you left, right, trapezoidal. I haven't seen midpoint. That usually doesn't come up. I think I might have seen it or maybe heard of it in the multiple choice, but that doesn't come up. Optimization, I get a lot of students ask me, is optimization going to be on the test? No. It's an important topic, but that just doesn't come up. There's just so much to cover, and so they focus on something else. Hey, fan. Yeah, midpoint. Yeah, midpoint, Chipotle. No, I wouldn't worry about that one. Now, for the multiple choice, I don't know if you guys know this, but a third of the test, I think about a third or 30% of the test is integration. So make sure you know how to integrate. Make sure your antiderivatives, your U substitution, all of that, you know how to do it very, very well. If you're going to practice, make sure practice your integration, okay? Graph analysis with that. But then if you're focusing on the FRQs, make sure your rate accumulation, your table questions, particle motion. The last 2 years, they've had particle motion. Now, what's interesting, the last 2 years, they didn't have area volume anywhere. And I don't know. Area volume seems to be like a fundamental topic, I think. But every now and then, they skip it. So area volume, if you see area volume, they're going to ask you for the area, which is just top function minus the bottom function. And then they're going to ask you about volume. They're going to ask you the rotation, okay, the rotation around. And then they're going to ask you for the cross section, okay? I know, Clover. Um, but it's not too bad. It's not too bad. I have the playlist, and hopefully you guys can see the patterns. Students want to cram in everything. They want to study the whole thing, and it's just it's too much. It's too hard. At this point, hopefully you see that, hey, I'm gonna focus on the important things. Okay, that's what we want to do. So, table question, rate accumulation, particle motion. When you see a particle motion, they're going to ask you velocity, they're going to ask you acceleration, they're going to ask you if it's increasing or decreasing in rate of speed. All right, they're going to ask you probably the position, which is the fundamental theorem of calculus. um, what are some tips for knowing how to start problems? I know, 994. That's the hardest thing for all of us, right? When we look at something, we freeze. So the first thing you got to get familiar what you're looking at. Okay, um, you got to see, okay, what do I see? As soon as I turn that page, question number one, table question. Okay, table question. Okay, what are they going to ask? They're going to ask me the instantaneous rate of change. They're going to ask me Riemann sum, some form of Riemann sum. They're probably going to ask you maybe average value, and then from there, something along those lines. Sometimes they throw in curveball. If you see particle motion, right, they're going to ask you velocity, acceleration, total distance, right? They're going to ask you for position. So those are the things that you want to focus on and study. Make sure. So particle motion. If you don't know how to do that, go back and look at some of the videos and make sure you understand how to do that. If you see a graph analysis, I promise you, you're going to see a graph. Okay, and usually it's going to be the derivative, and they're going to ask you, okay, find the point of inflection, find the concavity. They're going to ask you find the specific value. All right, and they're also going to ask you, let me see, where is the function, the increasing or decreasing, things like that. But if you don't know, go back and look at some of those graph analysis videos that I've done, and believe me, it's not hard. Once you just focus in on a graph analysis, okay, what am I looking for? It gets easy, believe me. And those of you that are BC, you know exactly what I'm talking about. All right, Moonclaw, I'm glad. You know what? I'm so glad that the videos have helped you guys. Believe it or not, I started in 2020 with the COVID stuff, and I was just doing it for my students. And a lot of students, for whatever reason, maybe they got a first year AP Calc teacher and they just had a hard time. But I'm glad that it's helping you. And, just go ahead and look at those videos and just see what you want to focus on. Okay. Make sure that you're looking for those specific things. So implicit differentiation. If you see something with implicit differentiation, what are you going to see? Okay, I might have to separate the variables. Okay, they're going to give me probably tangent line horizontal, tangent line vertical. All right, things like that. Is AP Calc AB difficult? You know what? Fortnite, it is difficult if you're not good at algebra. A lot of times we tell a student, it's not the calculus that messes you up, it's the algebra, the factoring, believe it or not, some of those fraction stuff. But the thing about calculus, guys, is you have to understand what the math is telling you. You can't just memorize the steps. You have to really understand, because the word problems, the FRQs, that's what's happening. Okay, so for example, if they ask you for position, all right, they give you a particle and they give you the position. Like say they give you velocity, right? Well, how do you find position? Well, you're going to integrate the rate. You're going to integrate velocity. Well, where do I start? Well, what do they give you? They're going to give you an initial condition, and then you go from there and you just do the fundamental theorem of calculus. So I kind of just use logic with my students, and we just go step by step. So hopefully those videos are helping you. All right. Yeah, it's the algebra, guys, that that's tricky for the students. You know, I hope, guys, tomorrow. I don't know. I hope you guys get a particle motion. Um, but I don't know. I don't know. It's just tough. It's tough to tell. The last 2 years have been particle motion, and the last 2 years have been table question. The first two. You've got a slope field differential. Graph analysis has been question 4. It's just tough. It's just tough to determine what that is. But guys, you know, part of what makes you guys so special too is, and what I didn't realize about the platform too is, you know, you guys help each other out. When I see in the comments and the things that you're doing, you're saying, a lot of you guys are very bright and you guys are able to help each other out, answer each other's questions. And that's important. That's good, because believe it or not, the calculus community is very small. You guys are probably the top, I would say, what, 10% of students out there, because not too many people want to take calc or AP calc. And well, you know how it is. And those of you taking BC, you know it's even harder. Okay, but actually the BC, once you've been through it, you know, okay, I know what to look for. I know what to focus on. But if I were you guys, that's what I would do. I would pick the FRQs that I'm good at. Okay, right, go through them. All right, table, particle, differentials, graph analysis, area volume. Now, sometimes they throw in some what I call oddballs, like L'Hopital's rule, continuity, right? Rate of change. All those are kind of weird. But if you just focus on the main ones, you'll be okay. All right, Ariane, you got a 5 on the AP Calc exam in 2020. Cause, well, I appreciate that, man. I'm just glad that I was able to help out, and that's why I just keep doing it. If you guys can just spread the word to help one another, right? I know there's been every single year that I've done this. I always get a message. I get the thank yous a lot, which is awesome. But then I always get the message, man, I just found out about your channel and the test is over. And they're just, you know, they're frustrated or disappointed. And it's sad. So if you guys can just help one another out, help each other out, and just spread the word, guys, because we're in this together. Everybody, I hope and pray all of you get 5s on that AP exam. It's just a great accomplishment. Do I think for BC, do I think we're gonna get a Taylor or a McLaurin? You know what? Well, let's look at the pattern. From 2010 to 2019, it was all Taylor series. 2020, we don't know what happened. I don't think they released the questions. But 2021 and 2024, it was McLaurin. Now, they're basically the same, right? I would, oh man, if I were to take a guess, I would say it's going to be a Taylor. Just based on the pattern. Just based on the pattern. So I would say focus on the Taylor, have the McLaurin in the back of your head. The integral test, really quick. Oh man, that's gonna be hard. Well, let's see. I think I have a video there where I did no, I did the limit comparison test. Guys, for Xavi, it would be kind of hard for me. Just that's one of the tests that you should know, along with the ratio test. Sorry, I'm just thinking out loud. Ratio test, make sure you know it. Of course, know your harmonic, all the series tests. Yeah, guys. But I think for the Taylor, the most important thing is the limit comparisons test, the integral test. Gosh, there was another one, the ratio test. I think those are the most important, because they're going to ask you for the radius and conversion. They're going to probably ask you, is it absolutely converge or not? So be ready for that. Be ready for that. But Washavi, man, it'd be hard. I wish I had a whiteboard with me so I can give you guys an example. But that's what I would think for Taylor, question number 6. Now, last year they had an arc length with a Euler method, which was kind of interesting. And then it had an integration by parts, which was kind of a curveball. But for BC students, the last 4 years they've had a parametric, and man, 4 years in a row, I think you're due for a polar, and that's what I said last year, and I was wrong. And because nobody likes polar for some reason, but polar in the last 15 years, we've only seen 1, 2, 3, 4 polar questions. I'm sorry, 5 polar questions. But man, I don't know. I would say just keep polar in the back of your mind. Okay, guys. And that's the most important thing I was mentioning earlier. If anything, I know students get they get caught up with the multiple choice. And I don't do multiple choice because there's a lot of great examples out there. For the multiple choice guy, just make sure you know how to integrate. Practice your integration. Practice, memorize all your derivatives, your antiderivatives, and just make sure you know how to do U substitution, integration by parts. If you're BC, that's going to come up a lot, okay? Because 1/3 of the test, or almost 1/3, is integration. All right. Other than that, focus on the FRQs. Why? Because nobody likes the FRQs. The FRQs are the part that it's hard for the students. And yeah, I would say for the AB students, for me, I'm thinking rate accumulation, question number 1. Question number 2, oh my goodness. I'm going to say particle motion. Question 3 or 4 is going to be a graph analysis, no doubt, just based on the patterns that I've seen. And then I think they're going to throw in a differential equation. Hopefully it's a slow field. And then I do believe they're going to do an area volume, just because that's fundamental. They did it last year. They didn't do it the year before. And then the 6th one, I don't know. It's just going to be hard. I don't know if they're going to do another slow field differential equation. It might be a bit of a curveball. They like to throw those. So, for example, L'Hopital continuity, things like that. Derivative rules with the table. But all of that is just a fundamental theorem of calculus. But I know a lot of students, they get scared when the test. Now, one thing you guys got to do, guys, I know you guys probably want to cram tonight, but make sure you get your rest, get your sleep. Let me see. I would say just get your cup of coffee in the morning just to kind of wake you up a little bit, just so you can be alert. Not too much, because you don't want to be running to the bathroom all the time. But make sure you get your good night's rest. Up to this point, you're just fine-tuning everything. If you're the student that kind of slacked off the whole year and you want to kind of cram everything in the last day, it's going to be kind of hard. And I know you guys probably have 3, 4, 5 APs, and you know, you're busy. There's only 24 hours in a day, right? But just fine-tune your focus. Look at those videos and just leave it at that. You'll be surprised. You'll be surprised. They stick to basically the same pattern. And I really believe that if you go through those videos, or just understand what to look for, you guys will do well. And every year I get students telling me, hey, you know what? Gosh, I got it. I was able to do it. How often do I think optimization will show up? No, it won't show up. Optimization, maybe you'll get a multiple choice question, but I've never seen that. I've never seen an FRQ with it in the last 20 years. The midpoint formula for the Riemann sums doesn't come up. For multiple choice questions on the BC exam, what are the topics that appear the most? Make sure you know how to integrate. Make sure you know your integration by parts. Make sure you know all of your series tests. I mean, that's just fundamental. And then, of course, you're going to have your AB stuff as well. Because BC, that's pretty much what it is. Your series and your parametric, really. And that's about it. I'm hoping, I'm really, really hoping that they don't throw you a polar, but gosh, I don't know. It's going to be hard. It's going to be hard. Now, with the polar, they're probably going to give you two functions, right? They're probably going to overlap somehow. And the thing about polar, it's going to probably be either the second question. It's got to be, I mean, the past 10 years, it's always been the second question, except for 1 year in 2018. And they usually are going to ask you what? They're going to ask you for area. And there's not a lot they can ask and deviate from that. But for whatever reason, students don't like the polar. But just be familiar and be ready for that, guys. Let's see. If I were you guys, you know, just make sure you go through those FRQs. Make sure you just focus on those, fine tuning those things, and then just hit it hard. You know, don't stay up till 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning studying and thinking it's gonna. No, don't do that to yourself. You know, before I come off, I'm gonna go ahead and pray for you guys, and every little bit helps, man. And I really hope that you guys do well, because you guys, believe it or not, some of you guys are going to eventually meet one another in higher industries, and you guys are going to be the leaders of the future. So, and I know some of you probably had issues. Maybe your teacher was a first year calc teacher, or something happened along the year, or a sickness or something. So, you know, help one another. Try to seek as much help as you can from your community. Somebody was telling me to share on TikTok and whatnot, and I guess there's a bigger community over there. But just always help each other out. Always, always, always help each other out. Let me see here. Yeah, I've been getting a lot of messages from students thanking me about they just found the channel and it's helpful, and you know, that's what it's for, guys. That's what it's for. It's for you guys. So if you have any specific questions, I'll try to do my best. My thing is just to encourage you guys. You may think, gosh, I can't do it. This is so much I slacked off. It may be true, but you only need, if I remember correctly, I think you only need like 67, 68% of the questions correct in order to get a 5. That is doable. You can get a D and you can score a 5. That is absolutely doable. And I've had students say, man, I just bombed it. I didn't do well. And they end up scoring a 4 or a 5. So, you know, I just wanted to encourage you guys, just keep going, don't give up, don't leave anything blank, don't leave anything unanswered. Just pace yourself. And you guys already know this, but the questions are going to be about 2.5 minutes per question for the multiple choice. So just kind of, you know, just pace yourself out. If you find yourself spending too much time on one question, you know, as hard as it is, go ahead and skip it, come back to it if you can. All right. Now just be careful. You want to work quickly, but not too fast. You don't want to be reckless, because then you start making mistakes. Be careful with your negatives, and just take your time. So when you're doing the FRQs, the first thing, okay, you open up the page, you turn it, okay, what do I see? Okay, all right, table question. Okay, all right, what are they going to ask me? And you talk yourself through it, and you either highlight or circle, and you know, you try to look at the keywords. Now I know this year they're going to do the first year where they're doing all computer tests, and I just hate that. I was talking to another colleague of mine, and oh man, I hope everything goes well, but I wish they would give you guys a physical copy. It's a lot easier. But just take your time, read the question carefully, understand what you're looking at. If it's a table question, Okay, what are they asking for? What does this mean? What am I talking about? And just go from there. Circle the key terms. If you see tangent line, you know it's derivative. When is the tangent line horizontal? Okay, that means the derivative has got to be equal to 0. When is the tangent line vertical? Okay, that means the denominator is going to be equal to 0. And you just go from there and you talk yourself through it. Particle motion. When does the particle stop? Well, when does something stop? When it's not moving. Okay, and what are they going to give you? They're probably going to give you velocity. So you set velocity equal to 0 and you solve it, whether with your calculator or by hand. Okay, slope field, I hope and pray they give you a slope field, and then you can just draw it out nice and easy, nice and beautifully. Those are easy. Just make sure when you're drawing a slope field, you go all the way, okay, all the way across, because if you don't go all the way, then they probably won't give you the point. Okay, just make sure you continue it all the way, to the end of the graph. Differential equation, that means you're going to be separating variables. Okay, and a lot of times I find that you're going to use ln and you're going to have to raise it by the power of e, and you're going to have a constant. Okay, will we get slope field even if it's online? I wouldn't see why not. Now, this is the first year they're doing it, so it's gonna be a lot of learning curves. And I hope and pray that if there is a mistake, they would either throw the question out and they would change, the parameters for grading it. Because that's what they've done before. If there's been a question that's been too hard and a lot of people miss it, they have thrown it out for whatever reason. So hopefully, if there's any glitches, any problems, they can give you guys the benefit of the doubt. Yeah, the questions are online, but you answer on paper. I wish they would just give you the paper. I mean, it's just, we don't understand why. I mean, for the other disciplines, I guess so, but for math, you got to write stuff down. Ah, man. Olivia, what FRQ should you review? The big 6. Make sure table. I think the first one for me this year, I would say rate accumulation, table, particle motion, graph analysis, area volume, and then differential equation with the slope field. That's just me. That's just the 6 that I think are the fundamental. Okay. Now remember, there's 4 parts to each question, and each of them is 9 points. I mean, if you get like 4 or 5 points out of each one, you're on your way to scoring a 4. Okay, and assuming that the multiple choice you did well. So let's say you answer 3 out of the 4 parts in each section. Man, that's great. But you're gonna be nervous. You're gonna be scared. It's okay. Take a deep breath. Maybe pray, and then just kind of go into it, ease into it. Okay, talk yourself through it. Okay, all right, what is it asking me? Okay, this is a slope field, and you just look for the keywords. Yeah, Taylor series. Well, Taylor series will be for BC. USIP, I was talking about the AB. For Taylor series, I'm sorry, for BC, I believe if they give you rate accumulation for AB, it's going to be rate accumulation for BC. And then, I mean, everybody's trying to figure out, are they going to give a polar for BC? I think they are. I mean, the last 4 years, they've given a particle, a parametric. I mean, are they going to go 5 in a row? I mean, I don't know. I just think it's going to be another polar. So I would just focus on polar. Now, polar, the very first question is going to be easy. Find the area. Find the area. And you just go your limits of integration and f of theta squared d theta, and then you're good to go. And then let's see. Graph analysis, make sure. Graph analysis, you know how to do those, okay? They're going to ask you for a specific position. The graph they're going to give you is going to be the derivative, okay? And they're going to ask you to find a specific value. They're going to ask you for a specific, f of 3 or f of -2. You're going to have to find the area under the curve, things like that. They're going to ask you for, let's see, where is the function increasing? If they give you, they're going to give you the derivative. And they'll probably ask you, where's the function increasing? Where's the function decreasing? Where are the points of inflection? Where is concavity? Where is it concave up? Where's it They're going to ask those things with graph analysis, so be ready for that. They give you anything that you... Moonclaw says, our teacher gave us for our final sample booklet, they give you anything you may need to annotate. Oh, that's good. That's good. That's good. I'm glad. I'm glad. I just don't know. I just don't like the computer stuff. I don't like it. Necrute, we were talking about the FRQs on AB. The ones that are always on AB are your graph analysis, okay, because that's your fundamental theorem of calculus. Let's see, and you're either going to get a table or a rate accumulation, one of those two or both. And then let's see, we got volume doesn't come up all the time. Let's see, last year it came up, but in 2023 it did not. 2022 volume did happen. 2021 volume did occur. 2020 we don't know. 2019 you had a volume, and then 2018, 2017, 2016 there was no volume. So I would think volume is like number 6 in importance there for me. Okay, but table question, because see, think about it. If you were a teacher, if you were a professor, what kind of questions would you give? You want to come and give different type of questions. So a graph, a table, right? And you give a function. So you're gonna see something along those lines. So be ready for that. But like I said, AB, rate accumulation. Well, something's coming in, something's coming out. Table question. Then for me, it would be particle motion, graph analysis, and I would do area. Actually, I would do differential equation, slope field, and then I would go area volume. Will there be a disc washer for 2021 FRQ? 2021? I don't know. Well, yeah, for volume, you're always gonna get some type of washer. You are for sure. Now remember, when they're talking about volume, they're gonna ask you. The first question is find the area. Top function minus the bottom function, easy. Then part B is probably gonna be find the volume of f of x as it revolves about y equals 2 or whatever. The key with those, guys, remember, is from the axis of rotation, you're gonna draw your radius. Okay, that's what you're gonna have to focus on. All right, and then the other part they're gonna ask you is the cross sections. For the cross section, the common ones are half circles, semicircles, triangles, which usually triangles either equilateral or isosceles. Those come up a lot. So I would do that. Esperanza, what year FRQ should I study? Well, as far as years, you study all of them, but what you want to focus on is the type. So get, you can go online on College Board, and then just look at all of the table questions, all of them. If you see a table, pause it, look at it, read the question, then go to another year, find a table question, read it. You're gonna find out they're asking the same thing over and over again, just in a different way. Okay, and then you do that same thing for rate accumulation, particle motion, graph analysis, and the rest. So that's what I would do for that part. Mixie, you said I did that one today and it was pretty hard for me too. Yeah, it is gonna be hard in the beginning. And what do you do then? You do another one, and you do another one, and you do another one. And I'm sorry, I wish I could have done more videos, guys, with all the FRQs. And my goal was to do like, okay, get a bunch of graph analysis questions and just go through each one and show you, okay, look at this, look at this, look at this. They're asking the same thing. Go through a bunch of differential equations. They're asking the same thing. So that way you guys can start to see the pattern. But I just didn't have time. But just don't be discouraged. Just continue. Do it again. Just do it again. Remember, there's 4 parts. Let's say you only get 2 out of the 4 parts. You might get 4 points. Okay? You're on your way to a 3 or a 4. Okay? And so remember, there's going to be some questions that you're going to struggle with, but there's other questions that you know it. And the ones that you know it, you want to get all 9 points. That way it can balance it when you don't get the other points for the other questions. Okay? And if anybody has any insight, guys, remember, we're in this together. I'm learning just as much as you are. And, it's amazing to me, but as a teacher, we learn from our students, and that's the beauty of it. And I remember, I think it was in Algebra 1, one of my students, they just made a comment, and like, we were solving equations, and I said, wow, you know what, that's right. And I've used that technique ever since. So I'm learning from you guys just as much, okay? And that's why we're here. We're here to help one another. Is graph analysis always? Yep, graph analysis is always on the FRQ. It's always. I promise you, you're gonna see it, and the function is gonna be a graph. Okay, that's gonna be the derivative. I'm sorry, it's gonna be the derivative, and they're gonna ask you, for example, when is the function increasing? Right? They give you the derivative. You're gonna have to look at it, and when is the function increasing? When is the function decreasing? Where's the point of inflection? Things like that. Mixie, should you focus on more what I'm strong at for the FRQs? Yes and no. You always want to focus on your weaknesses. So you don't want to neglect your strengths. So go over those FRQs that you're good. Go over, okay, I know this. Okay, focus on this, and this. All right, if I give me the table, okay, I know how to do this, and this. But then at the very end, focus on the FRQs that you don't like. So for example, I'm very confident that you're going to get a rate accumulation. Let's say you're not very good at that. Make sure that's one of the things you're studying tonight, or right before the test, or right tomorrow morning when you get to school, right? You're going over with it with your classmates, right? Or let's say particle motion is not one of your strong suits. Hey, just all right, let's do it. Let's go through it. Particle motion, what are they going to ask you? All right, velocity, acceleration. Is the speed increasing or decreasing? They're going to ask you for total distance, all those little things. But you know what? The more you see it, the more it's going to get easier. And even if, let's say you don't get all of them, right? But let's say you answered 3 out of the 4 questions, you would be surprised. I mean, that's what, 5, 6, 7 points maybe? You can do this, guys. Believe me, every year, and you BC students know this, every year you're like, oh man, I bombed it. And they end up getting a 4 or a 5. And they surprise themselves. So don't give up. You push to the very end. You take a little break. You pray if you have to, right? And I'll be praying for you guys before you guys go. But you just go at it. You go at it. You've been put into this position. You've chosen the challenge because you can do it. Maybe your teacher recommended you to take AP Calc. Well, that means they see something in you to be able to do it. And maybe you had a tough year. Something happened, whether it's family, sickness, health. Maybe your teacher, something happened with them, and you got the short end of the stick. Hey, it's okay. You do the best that you can with what you got, and just, feed off of each other. And hopefully the videos that I posted online can help you guys, okay? Is Polar likely to be on this year? And if so, is it likely they'll give bounds? I don't know. I think there is going to be a Polar, and it's probably going to be 2 functions. They're overlapping. It'll probably be question number 2, where you're going to have to use your calculator to find the point where they overlap. And then you're going to have your limits of integration, and you're going to find the area. Yeah, Polar is due. Yep. And guys, if there's somebody, if there's, let's say, there's a question you have, don't be afraid to put it on the chat. Like, hey, how do you, how do you find the point of intersection for a polar? Just put that in there. Somebody else might answer it or show you a link or something, right? And that way, hey, you're helping one another. Okay, that's what it's about, guys, helping each other. And the more you explain, the more you guys are going to retain. And I know sometimes you get frustrated. You guys, okay, I wanna study. I wanna do my own thing. And that's great. But if your friends and your buddies are struggling, hopefully they're not, telling you, they're asking you what's a derivative, right? They know what they're talking about. But hey, the more you explain, the more you help out each other, you're gonna remember. You're learning. Okay, if you teach, you learn more. You remember more. Okay, so Yara says she finished the APs last year. Good luck. Hey, Yara, thank you so much. Yara, any advice you could have for some of these that are first time AP takers? I'm trying to go back. Yeah. The only thing, guys, that I don't like is that, it's on a computer. That's the only thing I don't like. It's on a computer, and we just don't know what's gonna happen. My colleagues and I we're going over it. We're talking about it, and it's just hard to tell. It's hard to see what's gonna happen. I hope everything goes well with the computers. I'm not a fan of it. I think paper and pencil is just fine. Now, make sure for you BC students, Taylor series, make sure whatever test, make sure you tell them it's alternating and decreasing in magnitude to 0. That's important. If it says justify your answer, make sure you justify it. I'm just trying to think so many things. The FRQs. The FRQs are still going to be online, and I believe they're going to give you a paper or whatever you need. I'm not sure. Yara says, yeah, trust yourself. Even if you're nervous at first, you'll get into the flow. Yeah. Yeah, do your best. Yeah. Yeah, good advice, Yara. And I'm pretty sure Yara speaks from experience, right? She was one that was nervous and she got into it, or he, I'm sorry. Is there going to be the FRQ on the computers and we have a separate paper of the FRQs? I think so. Yeah. You answer on paper, but the questions are on the computer. I'm just see, the thing as teachers we're afraid of is, like, you see the number, right, 356, and then you write some other number like 365, something like that. The error bound, well, accurate. For the error bound, you're basically taking the function minus the sum is less than that error. So what you want to do, if it's, for example, a third degree, what you want to do is take the next degree up, which is going to be the fourth. So you plug in your 4, all right, you do the math, and it should be less than the error bound there. I don't know if that makes sense. Hopefully it does, but there's also different ways that they can approach the question. For the FRQs, yeah, Lagrange, yeah, that would be nice. That would be nice. Time to pop a Red Bull and pull a. I guess you can do that, but guys, you need your rest. If you need to take that Red Bull before you go into the test so that you're awake, right? But get some rest, get some sleep. I don't know. It just depends. We know rest is important. Sleep is important. Some people, they really work well under the gun. I've had students that they procrastinate, and they like it that way. They enjoy it. They like the pressure, and they function that way. I mean, I wouldn't recommend that. I don't think that's a lot of us, but just hang in there. Yeah, sometimes they don't tell the term, and you do have to find it. It depends on the function they give you and the information. It just depends on the specific one. I know accurate. I've done a few Taylor series examples from the past. I would just say take a look at those and see if those will help out. But remember, let's see, for Taylor, Maclaurin, they're probably going to ask you to write the polynomial, whatever degree. They're going to ask you for the radius of convergence, the ratio test. They might ask you to prove that, or to show that it converges. So you might need the, limit comparison test, the comparison test, any one of those. Yeah, Yara says, seriously, right now, the best thing to do is rest and trust your work. Yeah. Vayabva, do I think there's going to be a polar rather than a parametric? Based on the pattern that I'm seeing, I would say yes. So I would say focus on the polar, right? Find the area, and that's usually what they're asking. Find the area. They give you two functions. They're overlapping. You can find the limits of integration. They might throw in divide the function, the polar, in half. And the hardest part is finding the limits of integration. But I think, yes, they are going to throw a polar in. But make sure you have the part of the parametric in the back of your mind too. Okay. Squeeze theorem. Well, let me see. Squeeze theorem. Gosh. I want to say maybe I've seen it once in the last 20 years, I think. But that's just the odds of the squeeze theorem coming up. No. So don't worry about it. Maybe a multiple choice. But that's kind of like the comparison test, I would say, or you're comparing it to a function that diverges or converges. So don't worry about that, Yancy. Minimizing basic errors. Yeah. So to minimize the basic error, guys, you're going to be nervous, okay? You're going to be nervous. You're going to be scared. The clock, they're going to say begin. Take a deep breath. Maybe pray before. And then, okay, talk yourself through it. Okay, what do I see? Okay, the derivative. Okay. Or what do I see? Okay, this is graph analysis. Okay. What are they saying? What are the key words? Okay, the function, find where the function is increasing. Oh, where's the function increasing? Oh, increasing. All right, for the function to increase, that means the derivative, the slopes have to be positive. Where are the slopes positive? And so you talk yourself through it. And for basic arithmetic, you just talk yourself through it. Okay, -2 to the third power is -8 plus this. And you just talk yourself through it. And then you just, if you have time, go back and just do it. Do it carefully. Wherever you can, you take little shortcuts. Not too many. Don't try to do everything in your head, but just because you remember they've designed it so you have about 2.5 minutes per question. If 2.5 minutes have passed and you're still there, you know what? Okay, let's continue. Let's go back to it. Because then what happens? You panic and you're trying to make up for time. And you're spent 5, 6, 7 minutes on one question, where the next 2, 3, 4 questions are very easy, right? And so don't be afraid to skip. But I will say, make sure, guys, you practice your antiderivatives, know how to integrate, know how to do all of that. 30% of the test, I believe it's 30%, is antiderivatives, integrals. So, yeah. Let's see. But yeah, guys, if you have questions, put them on write them down, send them in, and somebody else might be able to answer it. Remember, we're in this together. Wasp said that it's pretty straightforward, though. You don't need to use the word squeeze theorem. Yeah. Skip optimization. Yep, skip optimization. That's not going to be on there. The candidates test a bit. Duke, that's just first derivative, set it equal to 0. And then make sure it's either where it's 0 or it's undefined. Okay, right? That's where your candidates are going to be at, and just you know, plug in your values right there. Just make sure the derivative set it equal to 0. That's pretty easy, standard. But where students forget is if the function is undefined, that's also a candidate that you have to check out. Okay. All right. Yep. Hey, thank you guys so much for answering each other's questions. It helps a lot. Yep. Mean value theorem, role theorem, when it's asking if there's F prime C. Mean value, I mean, I would have a problem with either one as long as you say F prime of C is equal to 0. That should be the important part, because I know Rolle's theorem is yeah, I would say mean value theorem, NVT. But you know, these are calculus teachers. Either one is okay. But the important thing is you show that it F prime of C is equal to 0. Yeah. Flip, should I study some polar tonight? Yeah, make sure you know polar. I mean, well, let me ask you guys this. If the last 4 years in a row, okay, they did parametric, they didn't do a single polar. The last time that we saw polar was in 2019. COVID year, I don't believe they released the questions. And from 2021 all the way up into 2024, it's been parametric. I think we're due for a polar. I mean, it just, I hate it, but that's what I'm looking at. Venology said my friends convinced me to study for the test 3 hours, and I just started 3 hours ago. Your goal is to get a 3? All right, I'm glad. Should I study MCQs? Venology, yes. I mean, yeah, if you're done with FRQs and you're confident, go study the multiple choice. For the multiple choice, make sure you're good at taking the integrals, antiderivatives, okay? Use substitution, all those things like that. Because remember, the beginning of the test is going to be easy, right? Derivatives, easy stuff like that, average rate of change, you know, easy stuff like that. So it won't be too hard. But then remember, 30% of the test is antiderivatives, integrals. So make sure you know how to integrate very well. Yeah, WASP says make sure you understand the question before you start working. Yeah. Yeah, it's just figuring out what they want you to do from, yep. No, very good. Thank you, Wasp, for sharing that. That's absolutely right. You know, and for those of you taking the AP Calc for the first time, it's because you're nervous, you don't know what to expect, and it's just, but if you've been through it, you know what to look for. And so, you know, take it from somebody that's been there. Look at the question, okay, what are they asking for? And then attack it that way, especially with the FRQs. Yeah. Yep. Yep. And guys, remember, you only need like a 67, 68% of the questions to get correct in order to get a 5. You can do this. You're telling me you can't get half of those questions right? Of course you can. And if you can, you're going to get a 4. Easy. Or maybe even a 5. And I'm telling you, every year I get students that they just blow themselves away like, I can't believe it. I passed. I did it. Oh my goodness. Right? Aaron, good to see you, man. You're the man. I'm glad, guys. I'm glad it's helping you guys a lot. Just encourage one another, guys. I know you're tired. You probably have other APs, and right, you just probably took APs last week, and Just hang in there. You guys can do this, okay? Your goal is to answer every question, and then those FRQs, that's where it hits, man. That's where the FRQs, that's where it makes or breaks the students. So just make sure you focus on what to look for. Like Wasp was saying, you see the question, okay, what are they asking for? And then you attack it, okay? And so the videos were meant to do that specifically, so that, hey, you know what? I'm going to look for the specifics. They're going to ask this specific thing. And even let's say they ask you something that you've never seen before. Believe me, you'll be surprised. You'll get at least 3 out of those 4 questions right. I guarantee you, you guys can do this, okay? And just talk yourself through it. You're going to get nervous. That's okay. Take a deep breath and just go at it. What's a key word? What's a key phrase? It's not hard, guys. Okay. The equation of the line tangent. Okay, that's a slope. Okay. Find the area of the function. Oh, top minus bottom. Okay, find the volume as it revolves around y equals 2. Okay, from the line all the way down, from the axis of rotation, from the line where it rotates, draw your radius. It's not hard, guys. You guys can do it. I know sometimes we over analyze complicated, but just take a deep breath, go back and look at those videos, and then believe me, I know you guys can do it. Wasp says the hardest thing about polar is when they want you to find the area setting up the integral. Yeah, that's true. Mixie says there's a U-sub problem where they can change the bounds and U is already given. Is that in the test every year? There's a U-sub problem where they can change the bounds. Yes. I think I understand what you're asking, Mixie. That's a multiple choice question. Yeah. Don't forget, if you're changing, right, your U-sub, right, the limits of integration are going to be different. You got to change it. You got to plug in your X to find your U, okay? Because then everything's going to be in terms of U, so you're going to have to change it. So that's a very good point. Awesome, Vinology. Have a good one. How likely would I say that the polar instead of parametric? Jokic, I wish I could say that's a 50-50, but just based on the pattern, the last 4 years, it's been parametric. There's been no polar at all. I would hate it, but I think a polar is due. So I would make sure I study the important things of polar, okay? And then just have parametric in the back of my mind. I mean, who knows? They might give you a polar and a parametric. Who knows? Because there's always one question that's kind of like an oddball, like a curveball. And so we don't know. Last year, it was arc length and Euler's method and integration by parts. So who knows? But I know you're going to get I think you're going to get rate accumulation, you're going to get graph analysis. You're going to get a Taylor. I think you're going to get a table. You got to get a table question for sure. You might get a table question that's a rate accumulation. I've seen that before. The only one that I don't know is the polar. And if AB gets an area volume, then BC, you're going to get an area volume. And see, last year, there was an area volume in 2024 for AB, but there was not an area volume for BC. So who knows? I don't know. I would make sure I know that. Any tips for breaking down integral application questions? Yeah, Yancy. Now the integrals, remember, it's a fundamental theorem of calculus, right? You're gonna have to integrate just whatever. For example, let's see. Let's take particle motion. Let's say they give you v of t, right? It says find the position of the particle at t equals 2, and they give you an initial condition. Well, how do you find position from velocity? You integrate. So you integrate velocity. Okay, and what's that? Fundamental theorem of calculus. So you're gonna get S of, B minus S of A, your initial condition. Where do you start from? Well, you start what they give you, and you start from there. And where do you go to? Well, what are they asking for? So let's say the initial condition is at t equals 0, right? And then you start at 0. And then what's the other one? Well, what are they asking for? They're asking for at t equals 5, and then you put 5. And then it's S of 5 minus S of 0, and then you're just doing your algebra, manipulating it to set it up for whatever they're asking for. Yeah. So, I mean, that's how I would do it. Jockey says, I've been getting 5s on all my BC practices. Oh, man. Well, you know what? It's good to be scared. It's good to be scared. And you know what? It's okay. That's a good emotion. I would rather you be scared than, I don't want you to be paralyzed, have paralyzed fear, right? But, just, you've been doing good. If you've been getting 5s, good. And just, maybe do another round tonight of whatever your weaknesses are, and then just just have a good night's rest, a good breakfast, get some good coffee in you. AOQ, fundamental theorem of calculus, FRQs. Ooh, well, those can come up in any of them. Graph analysis, they can be in particle motion, they can be rate accumulation. All of those are fundamental theorem of calculus. So where you're gonna have to integrate a value, right? So for example, if rate accumulation, AOQ, so think about it. Let's say you're filling up your gas tank, right? At a certain rate. But then there's a puncture hole in the gas tank and it's leaking out. Okay, well then how would you figure out the amount that's gonna be in the tank at a certain time? Think about it. Well, you have to take into consideration what's going in, but then what's going out. So you have to, what's going in and then subtract what's going out. So they're both rates, right? Well, how do you figure out an amount from a rate? You integrate. And then you integrate, and then they're going to give you the, the functions. And then you just go from the time sets, and then you go, f of b minus f of a, and you go from there. But AOQ, I know I've done some videos on that, and, the playlist is there. It's public. Hopefully, hopefully you get a chance to go through all those, and I think it'll help you. AOQ, how do we know when we have to change bounds or not change bounds? Well, AOQ, if the function is f of x dx, right? And if you start doing u sub, right, it changes to f of u du, right? Then those limits of integration, you have to change them because they're x values. You have to change them to u. So you have to plug in the x values into that u equation to get the u value. So if you have f of u du, then make sure your limits of integration are going to be in terms of u. Because if you don't change them, then you're going to get the wrong answer. Would you say the AP exam gives more time than really necessary, especially for FRQ? No, I think they just give you, they expect you to be able to look at the question and know what to do, and then be able to, give you some time to write. So there's not a lot of wiggle room. But look at Jockey. He says, Jans, he said, yes, I finished my FRQs within like 25 minutes left. Well, I mean, that's awesome. Some of us work faster than others. I don't think I work that fast. But Jockey, man, it looks like you put in the effort, man. I just hope you get that 5, man. You know what? You guys gotta make, if you guys pass, I don't care if it's a 3 or 4 or 5. You guys gotta just share it, okay? I know some of you may not want to for whatever reason, but it really makes my day to know that, hey, you passed. You worked your butt off and the whole year, and you've come to this, and you got a 5, and you got college credit, and man, You're excited. Go celebrate. Go enjoy it. Right. That just blesses my heart. That's just awesome for me. And so just do that. And if any of you get a perfect, oh man, you guys gotta share. I had one of my colleagues, his student, got a perfect score. Can you believe it? A perfect score on the Calc AB. This was years ago, but that would be wild, huh? Have you already done general predictions? Yeah, Sanjay. Sanjay, for the 2025 AB, I'm thinking rate accumulation. Let me see. Graph analysis, particle motion, area volume. I want to say table gosh, let me see. There's never been a table question and then a rate accumulation question at the same time. I don't know. I think it's going to be a rate accumulation. They might skip the table question. I don't know. I would say, oh, this is how I'm leaning. Okay, rate accumulation, table question, particle motion, graph analysis, area volume, and then your differential equation slope field. Okay. Sometimes they don't put area volume so they can throw in a bit of a curveball in there, but who knows? Who knows? Awesome. Maya, she says she's got the 2024 AP BC exam. Yep, Varun. What are the chances that there are no FRQs on polar? I don't know. The last 4 years has been parametric. I don't know. I think we're due. Mixie. Well, when it's hour per hour, that's your acceleration. If they give you a table, remember, rate is just y over x. So if you get especially a table, if you don't know, just what's the y value? Oh, it's units. It's meters per second. Oh, what's the x? Seconds. So the answer is meters per second over second. That's it. Just whatever, it's right there. Boom. Any test tips for the AP Calc? Well, guys, I would say, because I know it's getting late, but I would say, guys, like somebody said, trust your instincts. Trust what you've done. If you've studied, you got it. If I were you, I would focus on those FRQs that you don't like, and I would just say focus on that and get a good night's rest, get a good breakfast, get some coffee in you to wake up, and just do your best. And that's all we can ask for. I know we can't control. Maybe you had a first-year calc teacher. Maybe you had a sickness, an illness, some family issue, something happened in your life, and it just kind of derailed you for a little bit, and you've been trying to catch up. Life happens. And so now you're at a point where, man, I don't know if I can do this. Yes, you can. Remember, if you get half of the questions right, you get like a 4, I think. You can get half of the points there. Are you telling me you can't? Of course you can. And I know you can. So just go at it, guys. Go at it. But guys, I'm going to go ahead and just pray for you guys. I thank you guys so much. I hope and pray that you guys just share your successes. Just continue to share your successes, guys, because it really blesses me, blesses your teachers, and that you guys would continue. So let me go ahead and just pray for you guys. Father, I thank you so much for these students. I thank you for those that are going to also be watching. And I pray, Lord, that you would just be with them tomorrow as they take this test. Be with them. May you grant them your peace, your comfort. Help them, Lord, to study wisely, to study smart, not harder. And Lord, may you grant them victory. Bless the work of their hands for what they've done, Lord. And I just pray, Father, for good news and just great victories, Father. Go before them. Bless them, Lord. Bless their families, their futures, their colleges, universities, Lord. just what you have in store for them. Guide their steps, and please, Lord, protect them. I thank you for them. It's in Christ's name I pray. Amen. All right, guys. I look forward to it. I'll be praying for you guys tomorrow. You guys can do this. Go get them. All right? Go get them. You guys can do it. I'll see you guys. Bye.